Joining me now, criminal defense attorney and legal analyst Jonna Spilbor. Jonna, nice to see you. So the shenanigans that are happening inside the court this morning, or at least that happened in the first hour, do you think that was a strategy by the Trump team?
Oh, absolutely, Marni. I find it interesting because when I woke up this morning, I said to myself, I won't be surprised if Donald Trump says very, very little. And the reason why I thought that as an analyst is because he already knows, and I think much of the public knows, the outcome of this trial is a foregone conclusion. We're not here to learn liability. The judge already ruled against him on that previous. This part of this proceeding is to determine quote unquote damages. And we know that no matter what happens, the outcome of this trial will be appealed. So I thought maybe he'll sit back and not say much. I was wrong, and I do believe that it is a strategy because, as Donald Trump has put it, this is political warfare. So he is using this trial, and I'm putting trial in air quotes, as he probably would too, because he does not feel that this is a genuine civil action, that it's more of a political warfare. He's using it as part of his platform. I think that's actually a smart strategy, given the season that we are in and given the reasons behind why he and others believe this trial was brought in the first place. And not because there is any civil wrongdoing, not because there are any victims, but because in this political climate, everybody is doing their level best who doesn't want Donald Trump to be the next presidential nominee to see that that doesn't happen.
But might it backfire and be an expensive move, an expensive strategy, if ultimately the judge determines you're going to have to pay back $250 million and maybe worse than that, no business in New York for 5 years?
I think that's going to happen no matter what, Marni. I think no matter what Donald Trump said, even if he wanted to fall on the sword, which he's not going to do, this judge is going to throw the book at him. I think it's pre-planned. Here's what I'm professionally offended by. In an earlier exchange, the judge said flat out, we are not here to hear what he, meaning Donald Trump, has to say. Well, lawyers, Marni, call this proceeding. When you have a witness taking the stand and answering questions, we call that a hearing. The purpose is to hear what the witness has to say. That spoke volumes to me. So I don't care what comes out of Donald Trump's mouth. He's losing. He is going to lose this case, and then he will appeal. And usually what happens is you can stay whatever the judge wants to do to you, make you pay $250 million, put you out of business. You can stay that pending appeal. And if I had a crystal ball, I would predict that would be the outcome.
Right. And might that be the thing that they appeal on, the judge saying, I'm not here to hear from this defendant? I mean, what's the point of putting him on the stand?
One of many, right? Then what are we doing here? And another thing that professionally offended me is he said words to the effect of to one of Donald Trump's attorneys, get him under control. This is a legal proceeding. Donald Trump is not a circus lion. He doesn't need to be controlled. I find that personally offensive. And he was even trying to control his attorney. You know where this is going. If you're reading the body language, if you're reading the tea leaves, you know darn well the outcome of this case, regardless of who testifies next, regardless of what comes out of Donald Trump's mouth.
Well, and depending on what happens today, we'll see who testifies next. Ivanka Trump is supposed to be testifying on Wednesday, but there's been a lot of pushback from her legal team. She doesn't want to testify. Is there concern on the defense's part, what she may and may not say or be able to say on the stand?
I think this is just going to be more of the same. The strategy from the state so far has been let's put his entire family on trial, even though Ivanka was technically dismissed from the case. Because look, he's going to be a presidential nominee, most likely. He's a former president of the United States. He's a real estate mogul. He built the city of New York, but he's also a dad. And to have most of your children trotted up on this kind of civil fraud case and have to testify and basically defend their father and defend the business. As a man, as a father, I guarantee you he is hating that more than anything else. But strategically, it doesn't matter what Ivanka's going to say. It really doesn't. We know where this judge is going with this. In a case where there's literally no victim and, dare I say, no fraud.
Jonna Spilbor, as always, thank you. Good to see you. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.